This is online journalism. My name is Xavier with an X. Today we're going to talk about camera setup. Okay? These are the basic steps that you have to take to put your camera a-okay to begin filming. Okay? This is lesson number 7 of our online journalism course. So let's take a look at camera setup. Action! Camera setup. I've said before that I wasn't going to be talking about specific equipment or brands, but I have been told that people need some ideas on how to set up their equipment before they begin filming. So I'm going to make a little general overview of how to set up a camera. Okay? I have here one of the nicest and biggest cameras of the company we've been working over the years. It's more than 50 pounds. I'm going to take out this camera light. And basically, this will help me give you an idea of the setups you need in order to begin filming. So this is a professional old camera. This was like a state-of-the-art 20 years ago. In this case, I put some masking tape on the brands of the camera. I don't want to make an issue of the names. So this particular camera has sections, and the camera head, the recording, the battery, and the lens are all from different makers. But in any case, I'm not going to mention any of them. Okay, this camera, as you can see, is full of switches and stuff that you won't find in a very small camera or in your portable phone, which can work as a camera. But they have the same in a menu here. So you'll find white balance, iris, and everything here in this one. So let's go one by one. Okay. In a, let's say, traditional professional camera, you have the focus generally here, where you focus, sometimes over here. And newer equipment have very good autofocus. So I would suggest, if you're beginning, use autofocus. Okay? In the menu, it will be just like auto. You know. Okay. Now also the iris. The iris ring is here in this camera, and also in smaller cameras it's automatic. So I would say let's go automatic. I mean, new equipment is great in that sense. Gain, very important, gain. And the gain is a switch over here, and it has about 3 positions, and it's called gain, G-A-I-N, dB, okay? So it has to be in 0 dB, okay? Always put the gain in 0 dB. First, because most of the time you don't need any gain. I mean, like 99% of the time you don't need any gain. And in some equipment, gain tends to put a little noise in the camera. So don't use gain. Gain 0 dB. Okay. Obviously, one of the things you have to do is take the cap off your camera. Really, really. And check the lens. Even if it's a tiny camera like this one, it has a lens here. So with a little cloth or a clean handkerchief, you just wipe it up so it's clean. And lots of times you have a drop of water or something in there and it's making everything bad. Okay? So clean the lens. These are tips for everyday use of a camera. White balance, very important. White balance. That's color temperature. I'm not going to be getting into color temperature. That's going to be on when we talk about lights. But basically, white balance, which is a.w.b in your menu. I recommend to put it in automatic also. If you want to do white balance, first of all, white balance was very important in the old days because viewfinders here were black and white. This is black and white, as a matter of fact. So nowadays, there are all colors, so you really know what you're looking at. I mean, the kind of color you can see if it's all blue, all green, or yellowish. But remember that you have to go to skin tones. Skin tones is the best place to see if the color is okay. Because a desk or a wall or a building can be any color. Even a forest has any shade of green. But skin colors, doesn't matter if you're a little white or a little dark skin, you always will recognize when the skin color is funny. Okay, so go to skin colors to adjust and be sure you have the correct color balance. And I recommend white balance automatic. Now, if you're not satisfied or you want to be more professional, in this type of camera, we used to balance each shot. And you don't need to do that. But if you want to do it, remember that you have to balance with the light you are going to use. So you cannot do the white balance and then turn on the lights. Or you cannot do the white balance and then open a curtain, because that will affect the general lights of the room. So you set up the lights or the curtains or whatever, and then you do white balance, okay? Very simple, but some people don't do it. Okay, the tally light. This is the tally light in this camera. The tally light is the light that is on when you're recording. I hate tally lights. I always turn it off. If you can't turn it off, put a piece of black tape, gaffer tape or electric tape or whatever. Why do I do this? I don't want people to be aware that I'm shooting some footage. It's not that I'm doing anything illegal, but people will start to act funny. I mean, you're in a hallway and from the mayor's office or in a corporate video or in the street, and put yourself with a tripod, like in an attitude that you're filming, everybody will change sidewalks. I don't know. Or even worse, they'll come and like, people are strange. So set up the camera and leave it on for a few minutes, no, not minutes, a few seconds. When you see somebody turning the corner, going around the corner, and just look to the other side, and so they will think that you're not filming it. It'll be easier, more natural, and it works. So I would get rid of the tally light. Tally light off. Another thing, in modern cameras, you have this little, normally it's like a little section here, where you choose the microphone's inputs. So in those little switches, you allow to use the camera mic, an external mic, or a line. What is a line? Well, you use a line when it comes from a recording equipment. And that will occur if you're doing like a multi-camera setup, like recording a church or a concert or something big, or a press conference of the president, that they give you the sound directly from a mixer. But 99% of the time, you don't use line. So be sure that you put those switches in MIC, which is microphone, okay? And be sure that you also open the camera mic, which is cam mic. That's the camera mic. So in any case, do a little homework there to see if you're putting the switches in the correct place. It also allows to have phantom power. Phantom power is an electric power that some microphones need, especially boom microphones. Have that under control. Okay, another thing. Most of the times you have to rent equipment. because clients have different needs. And it's not the same a commercial than a documentary, than a IMAX for a museum, whatever. So a lot of times, even though you master the general flow of a production in a camera, you may not know how to work with a specific camera. So you have to do the setup of the camera, and I recommend that you do that not in front of the client, okay? Do it in the office before you leave. Even you can do it in the car or doing the night before, that's even better, but not with the client. First of all, the client will think that you are a guy who is just beginning to learn about the camera, and that is not a good sense for the client. He will say, I'm paying thousands of dollars for this production, and the guy doesn't even know how to turn on the camera. Okay, that's not good for the production. Second, you are going to get nervous with a client watching you and saying, hey, what are you doing? Are you ready? Hey. So set up the camera ahead of time so you're absolutely zero stress. Okay, let me tell you about some bugs that I suffered in my production life. For instance, some of these cameras, the higher budget cameras, have what they call a duplicator here, which is basically they turn this lens into a telephoto lens. So you just zoom in. So it will have like X1 and X2 or 0X and 1X. And the problem with that, sometimes it will show on the viewfinder, but sometimes it will not. The problem with that is if you put the duplicator on, it will change dramatically the need of light. So it will go so that it will eat up all the light. So if you're in a difficult lighting condition, because maybe it's in the evening or even at night or in a very dark environment, and you have that in telephoto position, you won't see almost anything. And it may be, I mean, sometimes you are so nervous because you're doing the shot because the whole crew is waiting and the talent is waiting, and something is going to happen, and you need to have the camera ready, and you forget that the little duplicator is in the wrong position. So that is terrible. Okay, so be aware of that. If at any point everything goes darker than usual, check the famous duplicator. Okay, another thing, tape and memory sticks. Some cameras, not the modern ones, used to have tape and both options, tape and memory cards. And sometimes they don't tell you that if you use tape, you cannot access the higher resolution formats. That's terrible because you set up for the higher resolution formats, but you don't put the memory card, and the camera will switch automatically to the lower resolution. So you will be, because you think you're filming in high resolution and you're not. So be careful with that. Most of the new cameras don't have that problem. Another thing, obviously, always bring an extra battery and check your batteries and have an extra battery and an extra memory card, okay? You also have to set up the quality, but that depends on your project. If it's like for the web or if it's for, let's say, high definition, and now they invented the 4K, which is really high end, but normally it's not on everyday market. Okay, and another thing for those people that do jobs for Europe, and they remember that in the US and Japan and most of the world they use NTSC, the format, and then most of the countries in Europe they use PAL, P-A-L. So some cameras can record in both, but you have to go into the menu and set it up. But some cameras don't say this is PAL and this is NTSC. So remember that setup in PAL is 525. So if you set it up in 525, it will be Paul. Okay? In any case, if you have any doubts, go to the web. Go, you Google it, and you have how to set up this and that. Where is the switch for this and that? Okay? And then there's lots of responses, and in a few minutes you'll have your answer. Okay? So remember, as I said, all of these millions of switches here are in your smaller cameras and in your cellular phones, mobile phones, in a menu. So it's very easy. Well, not very easy, but it's almost all of these switches are in your cellular phone. Okay, so now we have homework time with our little banana friend here. I used to have a pickle and a carrot also. These were my family children's toys. Mr. Banana, I only kept Banana Man. Okay, what is the homework? The homework is to find and go to the camera you are going to be using. If it's a big camera like this one, if it's a medium-sized camera, if it's a smaller camera, or if it's this mobile phone, smartphone camera. Most of the things I've said in this quick general setup are in this little one, but in the form of a menu. So the homework is go all over the menu, all over the different specifications, white balance, iris, this and that, blah, 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 and learn and try to set up in a way that it will work for you and that it gets simple. I think technology should be simple, and we should leave it in the simplest way possible and leave the mind open for creative process. That's the thing that makes the difference. So remember, that's all for today. So we'll see you on the next lesson. That still is going to be about cameras. Okay?